Hey guys, so a few days ago we got a new mounted general, George Monck. But before we get into all that, a few things first. First, if you hear snoring throughout this video, it's not that I find this topic extremely boring, it's that my dog Russell is sitting in my lap and he snores very loudly. So, that's the first point. Second point is I am currently working on a updated defense general video because even though we don't have any new defense generals, the last one did really well, and I think that people would appreciate a fresh guide for that going into 2025 with recommendations for what the future generals might look like and what categories would be worth upgrading if they release those specific generals. So that one might take a little bit longer because I'm putting a little bit more work into it than normal in terms of editing and polishing. So be on the lookout for that one if you haven't subscribed. Subscribe so you'll see it when I release it. But yeah, that's all I got, and let's jump into it. So with George Monck, he kind of breaks the formula Evony have been doing, where the new general that comes out is bigger and better than everybody else. It's uh, it's kind of surprising what they did with him. So first off, he doesn't have the leading the army clause. He's an attacker only general. The base stats on him are pretty strong, 50, 40, and 40, but nothing we've never seen before. Uh, The part that's interesting is once you fully upgrade him with his skills, he only gets 8% total march size, which is not a lot for what we've been seeing recently with the generals. His base attack for once you get him fully ascended is very high at 140. He's matched only by Marco Polo. When we get into the specialty for him, he doesn't get any march size from his specialty. He does have good stats other than that, but no march size holds him back. And then with the Covenant, he just gets 10% flat across the board. So nothing too crazy. We've seen a couple more recently that are better than this. This is matches more the Covenants that were being released like 3 months ago. And then with his base attributes, his defense and HP base is pretty standard. The attack is very high, on par with Marco Polo and Cheng Yaojin. So it's kind of weird with him. It seems like he's a combination of some of the old stats, the average that we see on there, and then matching some of the new guys' stats. In terms of total attack, he is second overall, only behind Marco Polo, so he does have very high attack. But Marco Polo has a lot more march size than George does. His defense is higher, and he does have reasonable HP, but he's not the top slot for either of these stats. Napoleon Prime has higher defense, and George Monk's HP is higher than Napoleon. In terms of HP, Lee Namosa beats him. George Monk is a close second, but J Alva Man is on par with him. So he has high stats overall, but really no march size to go with it. Defensively, he could be used as a defensive general, but there are other options that are really just as good, like Hestia. Hestia's defensive stats are pretty much on par. Napoleon Prime, you're missing out on the like 40, 50% HP, which is significant, but it's really not game changing. When it looks in terms of the total attack, he falls down to seventh place. So he's decent as an attacker. He's on par with Napoleon Prime and Andre. But the only advantage he has over those guys is really just he's a little bit more survivable, but it's not really game changing. Uh, the effective attack is P15, K40, 2000% buff if you're interested. And you can download these spreadsheets and change him to whatever you want to see what he would look like on your march. But yeah, overall, he's a tanky general, but he's not the best in any category. His attack is decent. So if you don't already have him on a general, he's a good option. But They'll probably release another one that's way better in a month, or if you have any of the others that have been released since Napoleon Prime, you really don't need to invest in him. When we look at him in the assistant role, his total stats are they're not great as an assistant. His assistant attack is all right. 140 comes in third. Defensively, he's the highest, but Hestia matches him in HP and defense. So he's just like a slightly better Hestia as an assistant. When you look at the total damage, his total damage is not great for the assistant category. So kind of the same story as we saw with the main general. He has decent attack damage, not great, and then pretty good survivability, but really nothing that we've never seen before. For compatibility with George Monck, he doesn't have any issues with any of the skill books, so that is a positive in his favor. The pairs that are not possible, Marco Polo, Napoleon Prime, Jayarvaman, Mordred, Custer, Roland, Hannibal, Lysander, Gaius, and Bertrand. The interesting one on this is Jayarvaman, because Jayarvaman is built as a tanky general, so it seemed like these two would be a good pair, but no, they're not compatible. If you are looking to pick this guy up, possibly as an assistance for a survival-based focused march, some good generals to pair him with would be Hestia. For sure, she would be the best one to pair him with. You could also pair him with Lee Namosa if you have Lee Namosa. That would be a solid one. So yeah, in terms of usability, really his only use is as a slightly better Hestia, as an assistant for Hestia, or an assistant for Lee Namosa. That's pretty much the only use case you can get out of him. He doesn't have many tricks in his bag. He's a pretty simple general. So that's all I got for today. Hope y'all found this video informative and useful, and I will catch y'all in the next one.